Come on. Do I sound like I'm joking? Do I sound like I'm playing? When you look into my eyes, you understand what I'm saying? Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
All right, we are on. I am TheMoJoKing. He is the great Mike Steph, and we are Hidden Gems Football, brought to you by the Mighty 19 Media Group. Welcome to the preview of Week 8 of the NFL. Before we start, I'd like to thank all of you, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite streaming platform. Thank you for being here with us. We strive, we thrive because of you. Please like, subscribe, comment, and most definitely tell a friend or two. Just don't tell me about the last 2 weeks now. I am slumping. Mike Steph, how are you?
I'm actually doing better than good because due to my weight loss, I'm actually able to fit this GI shirt. So I was like, you know what? Instead of putting it over my head, I'm actually going to wear it on my body because I'm just that dashing. No, but I'm doing great.
All right, before we get to Mike Steph's one big thing, now I have to ask the question. Was it too small originally, or did you outgrow it and grew back in, and now you're back down into it?
It was kind of snug, but that's because I was kind of bloated. So being the fact I kind of shrunk, it's like it's I feel comfortable. I don't like things that cling to me. And also because for the first time when I first got it, I didn't really have anything to match it. So thanks to Sister Ooh, she got me this nice plain black hat. So therefore now I have no excuse to not support the GI Bros actually on camera.
All right, Mike Steph, tell us about your one big thing.
My one big thing this week is concerning the running back community. In the lead up to this regular season, when we was doing the previews of the divisions, and I think we even discussed at the very, very beginning of the season, numerous running backs were having a problem getting long-term contracts from their franchise, from their teams, and we wanted to see where we actually thought probably was a conspiracy. The ownerships didn't want to make a long-term commitment. A lot of these teams, the running back was the actual cog that made the team go. Had a lot to do with the success of these teams. Now, since we're entering week 8, we actually have a little bit more data to decide, well, at least for me to decide whether or not these franchises were correct in not giving the long-term commitments to their running backs, or did the running backs make the owners actually eat their own words. And I have 4 in particular, and not any particular order, but the first one is Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs wanted a long-term commitment. He held out for a good portion of the preseason. Now, Josh Jacobs, 7 weeks in, he has only gained 347 yards for the season. He's averaging 2.9 yards a carry. He's only averaging 49.5 yards per game. Yeah, he has 26 receptions, but that's not what they're paying him for. They're paying him to be a difference maker. And yes, the Raiders are 3-4, and nobody really thought they were going to be Super Bowl contenders. But just perhaps if they got more output from Josh Jacobs, then maybe that 3-4 would turn around and be 4-3, and they'd be right in the thick of things in the AFC. The second one on my list is Austin Ekeler. Now, I say this with a grain of salt because Austin Ekeler has been dealing with injuries for the season, so he's only really been in 3 complete games. But availability is part of the reason why the ownerships in various places were hesitant on giving these running backs long-term commitments because, everybody knows the shelf life of a running back prime years is maybe 5, if 5, probably about 3 prime years. Now, Austin Ekeler in 3 games has a total of 189 rushing yards, and he's averaging 4.3 yards per carry, and he only has 9 receptions. Maybe it's the fact that all the wear and tear by all the touches that he's accumulated over the last couple of years is starting to take its toll, and he's slowing down. Then you have the curious case of Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis. You give him a caveat because Jim Irsay is a butthole, to say the least. So his situation and being put on the pup list for the first 4 games, it might have been partly his health, but I think it was more vindictiveness on the behalf of the Indianapolis Colts because they didn't want to give him the long-term commitment, which they ultimately gave him. Now, in the 3 games that he's returned, he's only had 112 yards rushing on 3.5 yards a carry. But I actually have a little bit more confidence that once he gets his legs underneath him, he'll be more representative of what he's done in the past. Now, last but not least, close and near and dear to the NYC area is Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley dealt with a high ankle sprain for the majority of the season, so he's only really had about 3.5 games that we can chalk up to. But in those 3 games, he's gained 284 yards on the ground, average of 71 yards per game, plus 16 receptions with a total of 3 touchdowns. Now, unfortunately, availability is part of it. And this week, there's been some word that he's dealing with a hyperextended elbow that might have him questionable for this upcoming game against my New York Jets. But the one caveat when it comes to Saquon Barkley is this: they decided to give Daniel Jones the bag, $40 million a year. Yeah, they got it out after next year, but they decided to give Daniel Jones the extended money and try and franchise Saquon Barkley. In the 2 games that Saquon Barkley has played without Daniel Jones, who's out with an injury, how ironic, they are 1-1, and dare I say they should be 2-0 with the backup quarterback. The games that they had Daniel Jones behind center without Saquon Barkley, they couldn't even get an offensive touchdown, and they were getting blown out by double digits in numerous games. So the so-called conspiracy against the running backs, was it a conspiracy, or was it the fact that maybe these franchises knew more than the public at large knew when it came to the downturn on these running backs? We have the rest of the season for it to bear fruit, but that's my one big thing. Yeah.
How quickly you turn your back on the running backs.
Listen, most of course me a parlay. He's a running back, right? A-Chain is out. Availability is your best ability. Yeah, these are 2 people that's cost me some coin in the last 7 weeks. I'm turning my back on them. Parting my back.
All right. Before we get to the games, I do want to point out one thing about the running backs you just mentioned. Jonathan Taylor is actually splitting time with Zach Moss, who was running over the league until Jonathan Taylor came back. So his numbers look a little funny because of that. They're actually splitting carries almost 50-50 right now.
If you're not available and the next man steps up to take your place and they do an adequate job, you put yourself in that position for not making yourself available.
Mike Steph, corporate chill.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Ricky from Late Night Lake Show. A new NBA season has arrived, and there's no better time to be following the brand. From weekly podcasts and live streams featuring some of the biggest names in the NBA social world to viral Twitter spaces and engaging articles. If you bleed purple and gold and love good content, then Late Night Lake Show is the brand for you. Follow us on Twitter at Late Night Lakers and on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, or wherever you get your podcast at Late Night Lake Show. It's premium Lakers content brought to you by some of your favorite and best personalities in Laker Nation. It's about to be another crazy season this year, but one thing is for certain. If it's happening and involving our Los Angeles Lakers, Late Night Lake Show is going to be covering. So come check us out. We'll see y'all on the timeline. Peace.
All right, we are heading to Buffalo for Thursday night football. The 3-3 Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to Buffalo to face the 4-3 Buffalo Bills. Buffalo is 8.5-point favorites. The total is projected out to be 42.5 points. That means Vegas is saying that the Buccaneers will score 27 points, while the Buffalo Bills score 25.5. As far as injuries, Baker Mayfield is limited because of a sore knee, and Chris Godwin is limited because of a sore neck. Both of them seem to be progressing into the point that they will play, but we have to make sure on Thursday. Meanwhile, defensive tackle Vita Vea and safety Kayvon Mayweather also questionable. On Buffalo's side, Dawson Knox just had surgery on his wrist. He is out indefinitely. That means big things for Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid potentially. So look for him on fantasy possibly. And although he's not listed, Josh Allen did have a shoulder injury. Is it gone? Is he healed? I don't know. All right. Anyway, Mike Steph, what do you think is going to happen on Thursday Night Football? Who's going to win? And are the Bills worthy of 8.5 points?
The Godwin and Mayfield injuries, even though you said they're progressing to start, it's still a short week. So they might start, but how effective are they going to be? And tell you the truth, Mayfield hasn't been effective that much in the last couple of weeks. But the Bills are coming off a 29-25 last-second loss against the Patriots on the road this past week. After I promised to start a diversity in their offense, they reverted back to their old ways. No creativity besides depending on Josh Allen to do everything with Stephon Diggs as a sidekick. Last week, Allen had 2 turnovers, 1 interception, 1 fumble. The defense is bad. Everybody in the secondary is hobbled. The loss of Matt Milano is probably perhaps the biggest team-wide. Now, going to the Bucs, they started out 3-1, but they have taken a fall back down to earth after their bye week, coincidentally, losing 2 in a row. Baker Mayfield, to me, has shown himself to be the average quarterback that people thought he was. Mike Evans had a bounce-back game after 3 subpar injury-plagued games. He had 6 receptions for 82 yards and a touchdown. Godwin is still a potential game breaker, but with that sore neck, I don't know how much of a game he's going to break this week. The lack of a running game, to me, is really the crux of their problem. You got their top running back so far this season is Rashad White with 266 yards for the entire year. The last 2 games, which coincidentally was losses, they've only averaged 9.5 points a game. And for the season, they're only averaging 17 points a game. The defense, which is Tom Bowles' specialty, is actually giving up 17 points a game. So you would think that bodes well for a nip-and-tuck battle. Now, to my actual predictions. I don't trust Buffalo. That 8.5, I don't trust them to actually cover because the last 2 weeks they did not cover. Remember, they had that 15-point spread against the Giants, and it was a tug of the jersey that prevented them from losing that game at home on Sunday night against the Giants. So that 8.5, it comes down to whether or not I think the Bucs are actually going to be able to hang tough. And due to Josh Allen's mistake-prone ways, I think they are going to be able to hang tough on a short week. So I will go Bucs against the spread. I will go Bills money line, and that 42.5, I'm staying away from. Yes, I'm abstaining. Even though I got 4 kids, I'm abstaining on that 42.5 because I don't trust it. But this is Hidden Gems football, so I got to give a opinion. I'll go under.
Yeah, both of these teams have looked subpar these last couple of weeks, and that is the reason I'm picking Buffalo, because as bad as Buffalo has looked, Tampa Bay looks worse. Like you mentioned, Baker Mayfield has shown what he is, and I would say that that's not even an average quarterback. I'd say that's a subpar quarterback. There's a reason that Cleveland got rid of him and he didn't stay in LA and Carolina, wherever else he was. He got beat out by Sam Darnold. That's all you need to know. That did happen, right? Or am I making up? Yeah. So.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So, I just think Tampa's offense is not good, which is crazy when you have the 2 wide receivers you have. Buffalo, on the other hand, we mentioned last week that we were a little bit concerned because when Josh Allen is hurt, he's not quite the same. And I guess any player would be that. But for whatever reason, it seems like when Josh Allen is a little bit off physically, his whole game is kind of haywire. Probably because he still makes the same silly mistakes, but he doesn't have the arm. But now he doesn't have the ultra arm to just work through it. That makes me a little nervous about the 8.5 points. So I personally will not bet it But I do think that Buffalo should be able to beat Tampa by more than 8.5. I might actually put Buffalo a couple, because I have multiple survivors still left. So I might put a little bit in Buffalo just because the history of Buffalo has been that when they struggle and you finally think, all right, they kind of suck now, then they go off again.
I said they do just enough to pull you back in.
Yep. They reel you all the way in just to slap you in the face and then jump back in the water. So I think this is the time that they reel you in, though. That 42.5. Well, you know what? I'm going to go over just because, like I said, I think that Buffalo is going to have a bounce back this week. Neither one of those I feel very comfortable with. There's a good logic to say the complete opposite of what I just said, so I probably won't bet it. But my experience of Buffalo tells me I'm taking Buffalo in 8.5, and I'm taking over.
Are you ready to step up your style without compromising the planet? Introducing the exciting partnership between Blueview Footwear and the 19 Media Group Network. Just visit bit.ly/Blueview19 to start your sustainable style journey. Our friends over at Blueview Footwear are renowned for introducing the world's first fully biodegradable sneaker. By using plant-based plastics, they are leading a revolution in cleaner materials and manufacturing. They have sleek and contemporary styles that cater to a wide range of tastes. Blueview Footwear believes that fashion and sustainability can coexist harmoniously. Explore their incredible collection of eco-friendly footwear by visiting bit.ly/Blueview19. If you let us know you made a purchase, we'll shout you out on our next show. Again, just visit bit.ly/Blueview19 today, and you'll see the ultimate collaboration of fashion, sustainability, and media excellence.
Because we usually focus on Survivor, there's a bit of insanity this week. It's a ridiculous amount of big spread games. Later on, we're going to talk about a couple of other big spread games because they're everywhere. But we're going to converge a bunch of them in so we don't have a 2-hour show. So, Mike Steph, tell me what you think about these games. Is there any of these games that stick out to you as a definite survivor or any game that potentially is an upset? All right. Okay. You ready for the list?
Sure.
All right. We have the New England Patriots. They are going to Miami to face the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 9.5-point favorites. The total there is projected to be 47.5 points. We have Kansas City heading to Denver to face the Broncos. Kansas City is 7.5-point favorites. Denver is the total is 46.5. We have the Rams going to Dallas to face the Cowboys. Dallas is 6.5-point favorites. Total there is 45.5. We have Philadelphia heading to Washington. Philadelphia is 6.5 points of favorites over Washington. The spread there, the total there is 43.5. And the last one on my list here, even though there's more, is the Baltimore Ravens are heading to Arizona. Baltimore's 8.5-point favorites. The total there is projected to be 43.5 points. So I gave you 5 games. Miami, Dallas, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Baltimore. Do you have an opinion on any of those games?
Well, for survivor reasons, I would definitely go with Baltimore, because Baltimore over the Cardinals. The Cardinals. We've mentioned in the last couple of weeks that the wheels have fallen off. Coincidentally, with the injury to John Connor, they just can't stay close enough to remain competitive, or at least in the first half they're competitive, and in the second half they just pretty much just run out of gas. So. Survivor reasons, for survivor purposes, I would go with Baltimore. Now, the New England-Miami game is interesting. Part of me, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, part of me would like to, like with the spread-wise, would like to go New England against the spread. But being the fact it's in Miami, and historically, New England does not do well when going to Miami, even dating back to the Tom Brady years. They used to lose in Miami. That would give me pause to at least do the money line. But the Dolphins, to me, kind of got exposed last week for the fraudulency that they are. I'll just give you 2 quick sets. Do you know the 2 games that they played against winning teams actually happened to be losses? And for a team that averages 34 points a game, in those two games against the winning teams, on teams with winning records, they've only averaged 18.5 points per game. Now, New England doesn't have a winning record, but I would like to say that maybe Belichick found something last week against Buffalo that he could kind of implement to slow down Miami. And Miami only won, I believe, week 2 or week 3 against New England in New England on a Sunday night. They only won by 7 points, and they effectively did slow them down. So that would be a game that I would go New England against the spread. Now, the Denver Kansas City game, I would probably stay away from. I have no chance that Denver's going to win, but that would probably be a little bit closer than we would think. And tell you the truth, the Philly-Washington game, I don't know where they get that spread from, because Philly only beat Washington by 3 in overtime a couple weeks ago. So do you think that the Vegas think that Washington has regressed so much in the last couple of weeks that the spread is going to, be as much as it is? I don't think so. So I would have Washington have a good opportunity to bounce back from their loss against the Giants and keep that game at least relatively close. So yeah, those my potluck, and I hate potluck. I don't trust these people nasty food. Matter of fact, Brad was talking about potlucks, and I agree with him. That mystery salad. Nah, I'm good. Sure. The only thing I'm trusting in the potluck is the bottled soda, and it better not be Dr. Thunder either.
Yeah. Last week was disturbing by all the upsets, especially of the bigger favorites. It was a bloodbath in Survivor. If you didn't go Seattle, you were in a lot of trouble if you picked a favorite. These 5 games, that Philly one in particular is kind of like, I know Washington has not looked that good, but Hal has a habit of not looking good most of the game and then coming back. I don't even want to get into that drop that they kept saying that he threw behind the receiver. Yeah, it was a little bit behind him and it hit him in his hands. Supposed to catch that. So anyway, but I agree with you that Baltimore versus Arizona is the one that I would focus on. I think Baltimore is going to beat them by more than 8.5. Partially because of how Baltimore looked last week, but more importantly, how Arizona's looked the last couple weeks. They look like, particularly in the second half, they fall apart, which you called last week, and that's exactly what happened. It's been happening repeatedly. So if you're a very specific bettor, I would bet Baltimore second half to just extend the lead and blow this out. That'd be my main focus. Any of these games I feel kind of comfortable with. Like I said, Philly, I don't like the spread. Dallas is hard to trust. But, Survivor, they all work. I'm going to be focused on Baltimore. Anywhere I haven't used them yet, I'm using them this week.
Yeah, use them in the ones that you're not using Buffalo in.
Right. You know what? That's exactly what's going to happen. Where I don't have Baltimore available and I have Buffalo available, I might squeeze Buffalo in there. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with the other ones, though.
See, I pay attention.
You pay more attention than I do.
Remember that at payout time.
No, do. All right. Sunday night football. We have the 2-5 Chicago Bears. By the way, we're speaking with the prime time this week, in case anybody was curious. Why we're talking about the Bears. All right. We have the 2-5 Chicago. Yeah, fits in Survivor. The 2-5 Chicago Bears are heading to Los Angeles to face the 2-4 Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are 9-point favorites, and the total is projected to be 46.5 points. That means that Vegas is saying that the Chicago Bears will score 18 3/4, while the Chargers will score 27 3/4. Interesting injury news. The Bears, Justin Fields, thumb issue is still a problem. He is doubtful, and I would say 99% chance he is not playing. Running back Rashawn Johnson is still out with a concussion. He may be back this week. Would you sit D'Onta Foreman after his 3 touchdowns? I don't know. Meanwhile, guard Nate Davis is out, and free safety Eddie Jackson is questionable. On the Charger side, they have one major injury from last week. That's Gerald Everett, tight end. He has a quad injury, and he is questionable. He left last game. All right, Mike Steph, what do you think about the Chargers 9-point favorites?
Okay, you know what? I'm going to stick on the script. In a battle of sub 500 teams, yeah, I know. Go figure, right? To me, the Bears messed up my parlay. See, I'm remembering this is a family show. The Bears messed up my parlay by dominating the Raiders at home last week behind rookie quarterback Tyler Bajan in an efficient effort. But the defense, to me, was star of the game with 3 turnovers, including the pick 6 by Jalen Johnson. The story here to me, though, continues to be the underachieving status of the Chargers. After a back-and-forth first half against the Chiefs, they completely bogged down in the second half and lost by 2 touchdowns. How, in any way, to me, they're favored by 9 points is puzzling. I mean, you could say that they actually beat bad teams, which is kind of true. Their wins are against the Vikings and the Raiders. But those 2 games that they won, they only won by a combined 11 points. So how dominating can they be? You know, Keenan Allen is having his typical stellar year, but is he really been impactful? Think about it. You know, defense continues to play like crap, despite all the big names that I talk about week after week after week after week. So I'm not going to mention about him this week, but I will mention one person, and that's Joey Bosa. Now, while acknowledging he's been battling injuries this season, he's on pace for 9 sacks for the year. The only years that he had a lower total in sacks were incomplete single-digit game played in those seasons. Like, I've said a couple weeks ago that I wanted the Chargers to bottom out this season so we could finish and get rid of the Staley era, and not EAR, but ERROR, the error, as in the error of their ways, of the era of hiring him in the first place, and try to salvage some of the prime years of the main players of this team. So, to get that out the way, because I had to get my stuff off. The Chargers. No, I'm not betting with them to cover that spread. Even with rookie, I don't even know if he was an undrafted. I think he might have been an undrafted rookie because I couldn't find out what round he was drafted in. Tyler Bajan. But guess what? They blew out the Raiders with this guy behind center. And I feel like this kind of leads into what I said at the beginning of the year with the coaching staff actually wanting to fit Justin Fields circle itself in a square hole. They got a quarterback that's going to run their system the way they want it ran. And for the most part, kind of proved itself. You know, the defense had a big part to do with that, but I think they're more on task with this guy in because he's going to do as said, as needed, as told. So I say the Bears are going to go against the spread. Chargers ain't covering that spread. As much as I don't want to do it, Chargers money line and that 46.5 under, because in order for the Chicago Bears, and this goes to my tried and true, which got our philosophy, in order for the Chicago Bears to go against the spread and keep it close, they have to keep the score down. You know, if Justin Fields is in, maybe I would go over because I know he would be able to put more points up just because he's a little extra, you know, he's more dynamic. But in order for them to keep this score close and to actually go against the spread, I need them to keep the score down. So the over under Chargers for the win, even though I'm very shaky on that. But the Bears are going to cover the spread on their side. So yeah, the Chargers ain't covering.
Yeah. You mentioned coaching. And I just like to point out, like you said, like how it feels like they tried to force Justin Fields into their coaching philosophy, and he doesn't really fit. I also don't understand why they had Dante Foreman deactivated for all these weeks. And then this past week they finally ran him. The week before they split time with him, he clearly was supposed to be the lead back out of the guys that are left. And they finally did it because they had to. They let him run, and look what happens. I don't like the Bears coaching. I don't like what they're doing there. But it seems like when their philosophy is, when they could get their philosophy going, it seems like it's effective, as opposed to what's happening in LA, because they never seem right. So, although I said I don't like the Bears coaching, I really don't like the Chargers coaching. And the Bears are looking better as the season's progressing, while the Chargers are still looking horrible. The Chargers have so much more talent, I would say, on the field by name over the Bears that they should easily be able to win this by more than 9. But the scores have shown us different. So why are we giving the Chargers 9 points against anybody? Like you, I think the Chargers should win because of overall talent. But my bet for this week will be to bet the Bears with the 9 points. And then I'm definitely sticking with the under because I don't trust either one of these offenses, really. Again, always have to worry about the Chargers just going for it at their own 29-yard line and then, send up a short field.
Yeah.
But all right, we have the Monday night game. The Las Vegas Raiders are heading to Detroit. The 3-4 Raiders are, the 5-2 Lions are 8.5-point favorites over the 3-4 Raiders. The total is projected to be 45.5 points. We're looking at some high scoring here. The Raiders will score 18.5. The Lions will score 27, according to Vegas. As far as questions and injuries, Jimmy G has a back injury. He's questionable. He's been out for a couple weeks. Will he be back Monday? I don't know. Also, cornerback Nate Hobbs has an ankle injury. He's questionable. Divine Diablo has an ankle injury. And what a great name that is.
Divine Diablo?
Yes.
That's crazy.
That is an amazing name, right?
That's an oxymoron. Divine Diablo.
It's possible I'm pronouncing it wrong, but it's Deablo. Right?
I would have to visually see it. But yeah, still that even just the inkling of shoot, what's his middle name? Yin and Yang? Like, come on.
I'm definitely rooting for him to play just so I can hear them say his name. All right. On the Detroit side, David Montgomery has been out for a few weeks now because of his ribs. He's questionable. We'll see what happens there. Offensive guard Jonah Jackson has an ankle injury. He was inactive last week, as was right cornerback Jerry Jacobs, who's questionable with the knee injury. Mike Steph, what do you think about this? The Detroit Lions, 8.5 favorites at home, Monday Night Football.
You know what I think about this? Detroit made me to be out a liar. Because I sung their praises last week. The Lions are coming off an embarrassing loss against the Ravens this past Sunday, losing 38-6 on the road. They would really never end this game from opening kickoff. The defense got shredded by Lamar Jackson, and the offense got pushed around at will. The head coach, Dan Campbell, said he liked their energy going into the game. Really? So you like the energy of a team that only mustered 6 points and got shut out in the first half? That's what you like? What about happened to bite the kneecaps, Dan Campbell? Like, you cost me some money, Dan Campbell. Maybe the absence of David Montgomery had a bigger impact than expected, but still no excuse for getting dominated on both sides of the ball like they were. Go figure. I put them in my top 5 and they go and lay an egg. Go figure. I mean, actually, 3 of the Dolphins laid an egg, the Lions laid an egg, and the 49ers laid an egg. So that'd probably be the last time I do a top 5 on this show, or top 5 at all. Maybe I'll do a top 10 so I can kind of lengthen it out. Either way, the Raiders come into this matchup by not handling any type of prosperity whatsoever. Entering the game as a favorite last week, and they want to get 2-game winning streak. Guess what? They laid an egg against Chicago, who we just spoke about. Once again they proved they are just as mediocre as their coach, Coach Josh McDaniels. Devontae Adams bemoaned the lack of touches this season, saying that it's not about the wins and losses to him, which is kind of crazy to actually say publicly. It's about his legacy. It's about what he puts on the screen, what he puts on the videotape. And I'm like, wow, he's really checked out. Like, I don't care. I'm all about my stats, which I can't really. Matter of fact, I can't complain. I understand because his mentality probably like, look, I came here specifically to play with Derek Carr, and y'all ushered him out after one season. Now I'm stuck here. And y'all not even featuring me as the star that he proclaims himself to be, which he actually is. So it comes down to this: Detroit. Do I trust them at home on a Monday night to cover an 8.5 point spread against the Louisville Raiders? The Las Vegas Raiders. I think this is going to be a statement game. So, against my better judgment, yes, I'm going to go with Detroit to cover that spread because somehow, some way, Josh McDaniels will find a way to cough up some points. And plus, the Raiders, I think they average maybe like 18, 19 points a game. They're not a high-scoring team. And Detroit at home, Detroit in the turf is a way different. It's a different monster than Detroit outside in a hostile environment in a big game scenario. They're expected to win, and I best believe, and I hope, matter of fact, I hope that Dan Campbell has his team frothing at the mouth to try to get that taste out the mouth of their embarrassing loss last week. Now, people are gonna still call them frauds, but at least you can boost up that record and go to 6-2. So yeah, Detroit money line, Detroit to cover. And the over-under, surprisingly, I'm going over because I think Detroit is going to put on a Monday night party.
All right. Well, I think as far as what we think the Lions will do, we're well in line again. I think that this is a game that they were just embarrassed last week. So they need to put on a show this week. Or like you said, they go back into the pretender category, which is crazy when they were just 5-1, but they looked so bad last week. So I think they're going to, like you said, I think they're going to put it on the Raiders. The Raiders have not looked good, and they look like they might be unraveling as they're going. Does Jimmy G come back and save them? That's a crazy statement to me.
He got back issues. Not only does he have back issues, he might have groin issues.
Oh, my goodness. Well, there are legal things in Vegas. So, all right. But back to the point. Lions 8.5. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on the Lions. I don't trust the Raiders to score at all, so I'm going to stick with the under. Just the idea of the Raiders having 18.5 points. I don't see it. I could easily see this being 31-10. That is my prediction for the week. All right. Now, we went through all the games that we had to go to, but I have one more survivor pick that I'm going to sneak in there somewhere. And I wanted your opinion on this, okay? Ready for it?
Good.
All right. I am going to put a survivor play on the New York Jets. I think they defeat the Giants this week. I believe the Jets are 1-point favorite. What do you say, Mike Steph?
I think you're doing the reverse psychology, and you putting the hex on my team. But no, that would be a good play. That would be a good play. And of course, I'm biased. But if you think about it, the New York Jets defense against a ravaged offensive line of the G-men, the New York Jets defense against Tyrod Taylor, we go figure. I'm going to say the Jets have more firepower than the Giants because both of them are kind of middling offenses. But I think I don't trust the Giants to. Ooh, that matter of fact, that would be a very educated pick. So I do agree. I don't trust your intentions, but I think it's a good play.
All right, let's go Jets. Woo!
I have a feeling this is a setup for next week. You be like, you see, for one time, I got on the bandwagon, and you screwed me.
Yeah. See, this week I cannot lose.
Yeah,
because if I win, I win, and if I lose, I still win.
Yeah, I know. This like I said, there's an ulterior motive with this. Shoot. I swear, if this happens the way I, for some reason, just put that seed in the back of my mind, I swear next week is going to be Hidden Gem Football After Dark.
Oh, man, I can't wait for next week. All right, Mike Steph, take us out of here. We are done.
Shoot. Oh, yeah, this was an exhausting episode of Hidden Gem Football because, I don't know, last week we had to find, like, really sift through or like everything just to get like a representative spread because all the games was closely contested, closely bet, whatever, wagered. But this weekend is like it's like a whole slate of games of nothing but blowouts or perceived blowouts. So yeah, I'm kind of winded. So with all that being said, check you next week. Hidden Gem Football. It's been a part of the 19 Media Group. Goodbye.
Bye. Let's go Jets. Let's go Jets.
This is a 19 Media Group presentation.
Let me say it to you slowly, and it may sound scandalous. I don't think that you can handle this.
Have you ever watched the movie Bustin' Loose with Richard Pryor?
Mm-hmm.
That's one of my favorite movies of all time. Because remember the part where he's walking through the woods after the bus gets stuck in the mud, and the Ku Klux Klan end up being behind him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm Joe Mother effing Braxton. Yeah, Philly's old. My mother's only son. Yeah." And then you just see all the tiki torches behind him. Are we supposed to do Thursday first?
We sure are. Why am I looking at this page? What is this, amateur hour? It felt wrong saying Sunday Night Football.
Because I heard, I'm like, Sunday night,
Bro,
and then I had to scroll down. I'm like, yeah. We're not up to that yet.
All right. Well, look at this. First of all, there you go. Wait, this way.
Yeah, that's what just happened.
Yeah. Mike Steph's one big thing.
My one big thing this week is concerning. Okay. I love you too.
Aw.
If this is it, please let me know. If this ain't love, baby, just say so. If this is it, whoa. You remember that song, right? You listen to the news?
Bro, before my time, you old.
Oh my goodness.